Dire team
，Neo 是1-0险胜啊，真的是险胜，真的是打到最后一刻。
It's Dire's band now.
我们来看一下，这把呢 EXECRATION 是换到了天辉方，然后他们搬小鹿，这边的话 Neo 还是搬大锤。上一把呢 XCTN 玩了一个这个睡剑关键组合，被对方这个亚布顿化解的有点厉害。
10 seconds. 5 seconds left.
Especially funny because I know that some players will harass their teammates to get those smokes, and that's it. It adds an extra layer of social engineering to it.
Cannot explain how upset it makes me as like an offlaner when someone uses a smoke for some asinine shit. I'm like, bro, are you serious? That is my kill smoke. I need that. Like, what are you doing?
Why do you talk like that when you talk about bombs? What do you?
The one I find that's terrible that used to be like kind of okay is like the 4 or 5 position pudges using a bunch of solar smoke to gank mid. It's like these mid ganks, the one smoke may be okay, but as soon as they're using a second or third, just because they don't want to like support the sidelines, they're like, I'm just gonna go smoke gank mid, hook this SF from the high ground while I'm smoked, and even if you get the kill, it's like something they've used like 3 smokes, and it's not even worth it.
You already picked Pudge. How much more do you want to grief my game?
Yeah.
We have a draft in front of us, though.
Wonderful.
So they first picked Doom, which used to be a staple from a couple of teams in the region. Very greedy playstyle, but not something we've seen from this current iteration of OB.NEON.
I think Enryu was playing it. They were like first phasing it for Enryu in one of their series at some point, which I cannot remember exactly, and they were pairing it with the Grimstroke, I think.
Okay. In Manila Master, I think you were telling me about this.
Perhaps.
10
It just
seconds.
escapes my mind.
She has a lot of knowledge. It's just that
Lots of
you can't
vague
contain it
knowledge.
all.
5
Yeah, it's like
seconds left.
certain facts, but not others. So I know that Enryu plays the Doom and they first phased it, but beyond that, nothing.
Interesting headphone placement there.
Are they together or?
Yeah, it's one to listen to your teammates, right?
Dire's turn to
I know a lot of teams don't like using TeamSpeak and they like to speak in real life. And then
That's why they pause when the game starts, because they're suddenly like, oh wait, yeah, we're not on TeamSpeak.
yeah, exactly. Yep, that's very common. In the draft, they'll speak in real life, and then afterwards
Yeah.
they'll get on comms.
We can relate, you know, we're talking in person. Well, you got both. You got
Dire's
the
turn to
in-ear as
ban.
well as our voices.
I can't hear you in real. I only hear you in. So,
Grimstroke.
It's Radiant's
call.
band now.
Poggies, we love Grimstroke Doom, super easy combo. Really nice as well against Centaur Warrunner because you're wanting to ult and run away, and Grimstroke just binds you together and says you cannot run in different directions, you must run together. You know when you like played that game as a kid where they like three-legged race and stuff? It's like actually
Oh
so
my God.
hard, bro. These people like
10 seconds.
Yeah.
they can't coordinate.
That was one of those kids athletic games that was
5
actually
seconds
impossible
left.
if you tried to go fast. The wheelbarrow was fine, but as soon as they tied your legs together, people are face planning.
Exactly.
Dire's band
But
now.
I mean, on the other hand, if you are dooming someone that's not Centaur and they do have coordination, which I would hope they do as a pro team, they could potentially get away scot-free because of Stampede.
that's true.
It's a pretty nice way to disengage from both Snapfire Ult and Centaur. Sorry. That is not true at all. They're on the same team. Nope, they're on the same team, guys.
It's a good way to disengage from Doom.
It's a good way. Yes, thank you. All right, so that's nice. They're gonna.
You can use the Snapfire Ags is what you were trying to say.
Radiant's
because
turn to
someone
ban.
gets doomed, Snapfire can save them by shooting them up.
Right, exactly.
Oh, yeah,
that's a very good
not
point,
what I was
Sheeple.
saying at all, but
No,
I
no, that's a
appreciate
very
that
good point. Yeah.
Thanks, guys. I do think though that maybe they should look towards a Wraith King ban if you're Neon, because if you're committing a Doom onto Wraith
Dire's
King,
turn to ban.
come back to life.
Radiant's
Kinda sad.
turn to ban.
There we go. It's also one of Nando's favorite heroes, so of course you need to get rid of it. Like
Yep.
it's just a double.
Great fan of that.
I mean, I would say that at that point you're just maybe going for like the Medusa though. The Medusa still being the pool is something both teams surely have their eyes on.
Yeah, Neon could use it too.
They're probably looking at last game like, okay, kind of slower pace farm game. What
10
hero? Like they're
seconds.
expecting a similar style of games. These teams aren't just going to radically change their play style. That's partly why I
5
think Doom
seconds
rose in priority, because this is one of those heroes that shines in those kind of games. Devour, Midas Gold. You're playing for 30 to 40 minute timings. Doom is going to be one of the best heroes to have on your team. So I would expect.
Yeah, and EXECRATION just banning out carries that deal well with Centaur. Conquer being played in the safe lane a lot. As of late, Lifestealer, both these heroes are gonna like lay nicely into Snapfire Centaur, because that is a strong lane, but there are heroes that can exist in it, and they're just taking it out to make sure they have a nice game.
Radiant
Also
pick.
ranged heroes and Lifestealer, right? TA is another good option here as well.
Dire pick.
I'm dying,
TA,
okay.
so
I think OB.NEON should actually pick up Medusa. Grimstroke Medusa is a really strong combo, to be
Dire's
honest,
turn to
and easy to
pick.
execute.
yeah. feels like a
turn
game
to
of
pick.
picking up who might pick it first, or they're just not going to pick it at all.
Oh, they went for
In the
Naga.
spirit.
I don't like Naga, especially into blind pick, but we'll see how it goes. I think the Undying pick was fantastic. I think we saw a lot of Undying strength as a hero that gives vision when it was picked in the finals of TI.
10 seconds.
Especially when you're playing against Doom, if you're able to put a tombstone up on high ground, see where this
5
Doom is with
seconds left.
Grimstroke, cancel Blink maybe, then suddenly he's just like really
Dyer's
struggling
turn
to
to
get to where he
ban.
wants to be to Doom cause.
The sack.
Yep, there you go. That's why you pick Naga.
Yeah. Kind of force Execration in direction to deal with these illusions, and
That's
Leshrac
just
looks great. Good solid mid matchup, good against Naga. It's a hero that you can Doom, like it is a Doom
10
target, but it's not like the
seconds.
best. Like Leshrac, if you've got like your ultimate on or you already cast an edict, you can still do
It's
AoE
Radiant's
damage
ban
and
now.
even get some life steal and heals from like an Undying to kind of
It's
survive
Dyer's
and
ban
take you
now.
through it. So
There's no way. Wait, there's no way they're last picking a 5 here, right? I'm assuming this
Radiant's
Grimstroke
turn to
Doom lane.
ban.
Like,
Probably,
what?
I mean, it's fine to last pick a 5 if you feel like you want heroes to, before they get banned out. And I'm assuming that because they have Doom already, they're feeling really confident that, sure, our Naga's going to get carried, but we can Doom the counters, and we have 2 Dooms because we're playing with Grimstroke, so it gives her even
Okay.
more, like,
Okay.
10
agency in a fight
seconds.
to be safe.
There's no way this is Naga 5.
Could it
5
be?
seconds left.
unlikely. I don't think they hurt.
Oh, it's just a walk-in
haven't seen-
snare, but you have the double
You know,
snare.
I actually really vibe with that. I feel like this could be a really sick Naga 5, especially because they're now like forcing Execration to counter it, and they're like, oh,
Exactly.
we gotta counter this Naga, guys. We can't just let her get away with this. They're like, psych.
Yeah. You commit the left.
Well, if they had final pick the draft, sure, but if they pick a carry here, then Execration is just gonna last pick their carry based on what.
They have
'Cause
lots of
10
lockdowns.
Yeah, I feel like
Oh.
the Leshrac's good whether Naga's support or carry. Still a good
Radiant's
hero to
turn
have
to
mid
pick.
against.
There we go.
Good call. Ava was fantastic. Nice shout.
Swap seats.
Yeah. The thing I feel like with this is like I don't think this is like some gotcha thing. Like Execration, they still have the last pick of the draft. They can get a Terrorblade against this Loon if they want to. They
10
haven't
seconds.
over countered this Naga where it's like, okay, we've completely screwed up our
5
draft countering a
seconds
carry
left.
Naga that's no longer a carry.
What's interesting is that you can actually swap Loon and Naga interchangeably in this sense.
True.
So I
Luna
guess if
could
it's
be
TP,
four, yeah.
you could put Naga carry,
I don't think
and that
Naga
counter.
was-
Yeah, we've seen the Luna support from a few teams.
Yeah, that's why. Like it's.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not the worst.
kind of cool.
I mean, it's pretty unique. This reminds me of old OB.NEON, by the
Yeah.
way.
I definitely think that they should run Luna as a carry
All right.
no matter what.
You're selling me on that. This flex where they can swap their
No,
carry
they
and their
should not.
support.
They should not swap this Naga and Luna into support. Please, God, don't do that.
You finally convinced me to hop on
No.
over, and now you're.
No, I
saying
said
no.
sorry. I was talking about like it can work like Luna into a counter. I didn't mean
Yeah.
Luna can work as a 5 position. I don't want that. I
Well, it could be
don't.
Grim 5, Luna 4.
Grim. Oh, I suppose, but I don't want. I don't want it.
Choose your
Okay, yeah, actually. That's it.
Carry Luna.
I'm trying to like figure out how these guys are gonna play the game because there's a lot of like unorthodox stuff happening here, and
I'm hyped.
I'm kind of. I don't see a proper playmaker like on Neon outside of Ember. Like, who runs with Ember? Like, they get Doom and Grimstroke when they want to, but it's hard for them to. Like, no one here buys a Blink Dagger really outside of Doom, and he's probably gonna maybe greed out and get like a Midas or something first, because that's what Doom players do. I see. It seems hard for Neon to do what they want, and Execration are just like, we're going to defend our towers and fight, and Medusa will get farm, and then we will try and do something.
It's a game where OB.NEON don't seem to have a problem, much like Game 1, with having these supports that aren't big playmakers. So last game with the Abaddon, they're more about team fights mid-game. So I think we're going to be in for another like 20-25 minutes, farm up our items, and then go fight around like BKB timing. Curious to see how it goes. I think Execration can play faster tempo if they want. Leshrac, Diabolic Edict, great at pushing towers, so maybe an opening for
Let's see how those fights turn out after what could be an uneventful early game, but what's always eventful is having this wonderful cast. Hello, gentlemen, MOP, Dota, and John X Fire.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are into our second game between Execration and OB.NEON to answer the very important question as to whether we're actually going to see a 2-1 this week at the very least or not. It is an OP, Dota, and John X Fire back, sir. Apparently, we have a position 5 Naga Siren in the game. Could you explain to me why that's good? That's a good thing, John.
It's Abing's
Ultimate
signature.
warrior
It's something he's
weight.
played a lot of, and it's something he's used to across the teams he's played in. So it's something they love, and I think I'm just having a bit of giggle. They're wishing each other luck. You know, this is. I think Norman said it in the lobby where this is 5 Pinoys versus 4 Pinoys and an Indonesian. So Norman considers himself Filipino, even though I don't think he knows too much Filipino yet. But the spirit counts. We'll accept him. And everyone's still in high spirits. Everyone's calling each other plastic right now, you know, fake. But no one's fake. We're all actual friends. But when it comes to Dota, Mike, you gotta play your best, right? So maybe some of that plastic does come in. We'll see. Again, back to the point about the Naga, it's an Abing signature. So we'll see if he can pull out all the stops. I think there's some potential. It does lead to a bit of a slower time. Especially in the laning phase, so we might see something similar to game 1 where it takes a little bit longer. And Bob does give a shout out to Norman. Birthday boy does get his shout out. Why is he mixing Norman up with Mamang Daya? That's an interesting one. Haven't seen that.
Neither have I, John. But definitely happy birthday to Norman, of course. It's good to see one of the players actually called it out. I was wondering when that was going to happen. Top side of the bounties, they might have a bit of a fight, but no. The Naga illusion, too big of a deal. Be a 2-for-2 trade on the bounty room. While we're here, we may as well just start off with the mid lane. Of course, you've got Bob there on the Leshrac, and he is going to be against Mamang Daya once
Don't
again.
get cross with
The
me.
Lesh versus Ember matchup, a bit more of an awkward matchup between the two. It does feel like the Leshrac should have a decent enough advantage here. And we did see Bob completely dominate the mid lane last game around. Do you expect a similar thing to happen here against Mamang Daya on the Ember jump?
Yeah, the matchup works out, as the panel pointed out. This is something Bob plays to a really high level as well. Every single time we've seen Execration draft this Lesh, Bob's been on top, hits his timings, looks for the push potential with the Diabolic Edict. So I think he should have a really good time here, and Mamang Daya's got to watch out. He still has good spikes lined up for the Ember. Phase boots and Orb of Corrosion's the usual one, maybe a Javelin tossed in there as well for good measure. But it will take a little bit longer for him to hit that spike compared to the magic damage output of Bob. So Bob might turn on that wrecker mode this game. We'll see, but I think the lane matchup just works itself out for him.
Oh, make no mistake. I mean, he was the wrecker last game, John, at least for the first 10 minutes. It's completely destroying Mamang Daya, but later on it didn't quite pan out. Still bot lane, of course, as we can see, you've got Nando and Vincenzo against Narman and Enryu. I suppose it should be a very boring lane between the Doom and the Medusa. Anything to look out for here, John?
And there's some potential for aggression if you manage to maybe get, say, 3 decay stacks onto one hero, get the Soul Rip on along with a good bounce and Mystic Snake, you could actually line up for a kill. Beyond that, you're probably just looking for farm. You could try to run in with Enryu as well. Maybe he gets a good Devour creep by level 3, play with the Inkswell and try to run down Nando or Vincenzo. But again, your goal here for the Doom and the Deuce is just to farm. It's a very equal lane in that sense, so the emphasis will be on just building up, hit the Midas timing for Enryu, hit the initial spike with the Dragon Lance or quick Yasha Rush for Nando, and just kind of run from there.
Top lane, the final lane we yet to talk about. You've got Kimizu and Carlo there against Palos and Abeng. This could be a bit more of an action-packed game because you do have, again, double stuns here from Execration. You got the cookie into the hoof stomp set up there between Kimizu and Carlo. It does feel like OB.NEON, they do have to play this lane very carefully. You just kind of misstep once and it could fall apart. Like, you haven't got a pos 5 that can really save you if you do get caught out as this Luna.
But you can be aggressive. Like, maybe not until Ensnare is up, you're not going to have the best hold to counteract the double stuns on Execration's end. But you have to remember, with the Aura build on Palos, Abing's going to be doing some decent right-click harass as well and trying to proc those Riptides. So there's an opportunity there to be aggressive. You can play around with the illusions to cut waves, to get some pulse off, and to contest stacks, and I think that's what Abing's going to have to set out for himself here. Already getting an early rotation towards the bounty rune, maybe looking to snipe it out, preventing the refill coming through from Bob. Again, helping manage Mamang Daya's lane. Every single resource counts for the Lesh, although
Thanks and
Daya
have fun.
Yeah, ends up going down. Bob once again able to find first blood onto Mamang Daya, but this time around it was solo. It's another fantastic start for Execration as Daya, he's not going to be too happy about that.
It's a great start for Bob, and this is what you expect in that matchup. One little misstep from the Ember, very easy to punish. The Bob set up to have a good time, even though his bounty rune snagged away. It doesn't matter. He's got rune control with the water runes. He's got the level advantage over Mamangdaya. Gets a bit worrisome for Mamangdaya. Again, he needs to hit his item spikes to really dish some damage back. That's gonna be kind of stalled out. He is getting the creep farm going his way. So in terms of CS, in terms of lane control, it is there. But the level spike is definitely where that difference with the Lesh and Ember will come out now.
So it's one of those things with the Leshrac as well, right? Like, this is one of those heroes where you don't really want to give it an XP advantage. It's already kind of a pain in the ass as it is with this hero, but the more levels it has, the more snowbally it gets, and the more impossible it becomes to try and lane against it. Bob now just almost 2 full levels ahead. Had to hit level 6 on this Lash. Because on the brighter side for OB.NEON, the other lanes are going somewhat decently. Enryu's having a pretty decent time on this Doom down a bot lane against Nando. Though again, there is no real pressure on the Doom right now. So it's a Medusa. You know, you're gonna cop a few right clicks of Mystic Snake, but afterwards you'll be just fine to keep spamming your Devour and just keep hitting creeps.
Just a very static lane, focused on farm. Vincenzo is trying to kind of zone out Narman, but he has to be a bit careful. He's a bit behind the EXP now in the Pawns 5, very sacrificial, trying to give as much room as possible towards Nando to hit his own level spikes to get the Mystic Snake and the split shot going for the farm down the line. But that will cut off the early spikes of the Undying as well. Very timing sensitive hero. You kind of want to get your Soul Rip up and running, get the Tombstone for value, and run from there. We are seeing Bob being really aggressive, just pushing through. He hits level 6. He knows he's got the damage. He can just easily shove Daya away from the creep wave.
He's doing a great job of it. Bob just not giving any space away to Mamangdaya right now, as even take away the small camp.
My gratitude.
Bob does get rather low, thanks to that slide of fist from Mamangdaya, but not quite low enough to really die off. And Carlo, he'll be there with the salve up to make sure that this Lash should just keep doing what it's doing. Guy just looking for that level 6 mark to be able to play a little bit more aggressively. I think God's kind of pointed this out on the panel jump, but it is to be expected this is going to be a bit of a slower game between these two teams. You kind of do want to take quite a bit of time to just farm up and get those initial items up. You see a bang on that Naga, just, or both supports rather, just stacking up their jungles respectively, as Carlo and a Beng going to run into each other. Beng is going to have Mamangdaya coming in, so you do have a bit of help, but Mamangdaya does not have chain skilled up. No way to cancel the TP. Easy TP out for the Snapfire.
Manages to bail out to safety, but Mamangdaya gets to cut through, grab another bounty rune away from the side of Execration once more. Bob's not gonna mind. Gets level 7, he's got level 2 Edict, and they were forced to rotate and keep Narman on the mid lane just to prevent that shove in. You are seeing the threat of the Leshrac come true. OB.NEON respect that early timing, put the heroes forward, but now, Bob, Carlo, looking for the smoke play.
They are, but a Beng is going to be there to break the smoke on the Naga, so I think just fine now, but the Cookie is going to land there onto a Beng. Have to settle for a Naga Siren kill unless Roshan can get it, but not quite. Pick up again from Execration as Bob. He's found so many stacks for himself. Oh, this is juicy. Narman, he'll have to watch in pain as Bob just completely wipes the stacks away. You do have your Luna rotating, but Palos, he may have just sacrificed himself for free. In fact, now Mamangdaya is going to rotate with a nice X-Swell stun out. But the most you're probably going to get is the Snapfire kill. And even that's looking a bit too difficult at the moment for OB.NEON. They are going to have to back as Bob. He'll start to get aggressive now. Back on and up. He's got him. Nice and easy. They just cannot do anything to fight back yet. Not against Bob.
Just a lot of good early aggression coming through from Execration and hopping.
Yeah, you get the quick knee ward out, but that's about all you're going to get as the tips do come out from Execration. Currently 5-0, John. I mean, sure, you're kind of farming on Palos, but I say that he's in the middle of the net worth right now, so things are looking pretty rough. OB.NEON, they've got to be very wary not to lose too many towers here, otherwise they're going to lose that jungle, and Palos is just going to have nowhere to farm.
on Radiant's middle tower.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough time to get that recovery going for the Luna. She really relied on those early stacks. I love the aggression coming through from Execration. They know they've got this early spike. They melt the top tier 1. So they've got easier access into that top jungle to cut off. They've also managed to buy out a ton of space out for Nando here, Mike. So Ardusa has a very free lane bot. For Neon, in exchange, Enryu is going to have pretty decent timing on the Midas. Not the quickest we've seen, but I think it's a little bit more important for Neon now to maybe take a step back, get these initial items going. If they do want to make a play, it's going to be off the back of Mamang Daya at the moment, who still doesn't have the full phase booster or corrosion out yet. So the right click damage of Mamang Daya with a slight fist spam isn't enough to really burst through just yet, but it's probably their best bet. I think right now you're not ready to show your Doom, you're not ready to show your Luna. You could maybe just casually throw off the Doom for one pick off and go back to farming on the hero, but you're not going to clump up like Execration is. And Execration knows that. They just keep sticking together. They've got level 3 Edict up. I think they're going to be eyeing mid soon, and Neon has to be ready to kind of counteract that pressure, because once that mid tier 1 goes, I don't know if you can really secure safe stacks for Palos anymore.
Wants to move in. Bang, he's there to try and defend as he does get the ensnare on. Among Daya, thinking about getting aggressive. Bob, there'll be silence. Chains around. Stampede, those going to be popped, and Bob. Oh, that's a lot of damage. Among Daya, able to secure the kill onto Bob. And that's a big one, considering how rough of a lane he had on the Ember. You generally do appreciate the extra gold and XP you just got as December Spirit.
Yeah, it helps Mamang Daya again hit that snowball marker. He's got the Orb of Corrosion. He's looking like he's skipping the phase boost, just going straight for the Javelin into Maelstrom. So he knows he wants to be aggressive. He's the one to set the pace. Side of Execration aren't really backing off though. Like, they lose their Lesh, they're still going to chase down Palos and punish the farm.
Oh, it's a great pickup. This is the one target you do not want to see go down if you're OB.NEON, but Palos, you cannot catch a break. Not expecting it as they still held on to that tier 1 mid, but as the supports on the side of OB.NEON just feel a little weak right now as Mamang Daya to play around with Bob in this mid lane. But Execration, no, they're kind of looking back into that mid tier 1 again. And now with Kimizu here, it's kind of hard for them not to take the tier 1 tower.
They've got protection on Kimizu. He's got the Vanguard in his spine. It's hard to burst him down. He's just going to keep running.
Yeah. Mamang Daya, he's forced to run it out. Soulbind is there. The whole 2 down, or at least 1 for now. The Undying Vincenzo, he just won't run back towards his team. Now Nando, he'll move forward with the Stone Gaze out. They've already got Enryu down, and now Narman's gone to boot. Such a dominant first 10 minutes for Execration as they just continue to push forward. The Neon trying to find their footing here in this game number 2. As Execration, they'll smoke up with Bob and Carlo down towards that bot lane. Looking again for Palos, but they'll barely miss out. In the meantime, towards the north, Kimisu's just taken more stacks away. All of which were meant for Palos on that Luna. But he will get nothing, apart from a double Ancient stack.
Yeah, this is painful for the side of Neon. They're just losing so many resources on the map. Execration's aggression is lining up. I mean, you're at the point where even Nando's comfy enough to show up. He knows he's tanky enough to sit for the initial damage. He's got the Yasha, he's got the Dragon Lancer, some decent stats to contribute in these fights as well. And he's still not being contested when he does pull back, because the side of Neon are just forced to play so defensively with this really greedy draft. They've got to kind of ride through this rough part on Neon's end, hit the point where maybe you get that BKB blink up on Enryu, and then start playing with the potential of that Soulbind Doom. Because we haven't seen Enryu commit that spell just yet.
Gotta be careful not to get caught out right now. Fine, I'll just stick around that tier 2 top tower. Bang though. K as well, just getting those D wards out from that dire jungle. Just such a desperate situation, as you know how far behind Palos has fallen, but you gotta give props to the man. He is catching up. Top side, Enryu again just trying to defend against Bob. Eventually Bob's the one to just TP out. Not feeling comfortable trying to go after this tier 2 top tower 12 minutes in. The farming for Execration. But back to what I was saying, John. Palos, it's quite impressive considering the fact that all his stacks were taken. And he's died a couple times now. He is still just 1k behind this Medusa.
Yeah, he's doing a good job of recovering as much as possible, playing in that bot jungle, dipping into the triangle when he can. But EXECRATION, I think they're still getting more despite that, right? Like the recovery is coming true, but Palos is playing at the deficit against Adusa. You need an item lead on the Luna. You've got a bit of an earlier power spike with the potential for your damage
Radiant
coming out
are
with the clips,
scanning.
with your
How does that
strong
even work?
auras coming through, with your passive as well. So that's what you need to kind of play around with the Luna. EXECRATION smoking out in the right spot, just not catching the right heroes, but they are set up for a good fight here if they want to.
James, oh, they commit everything. They just throw everything but the kitchen sink to make sure Kimizu dies. And they'll get him. It's EXECRATION, they'll leave him be. So I suppose, considering how the game's gone, you may as well just throw the Doom out. But bot lane, Palos has been caught.
Radiant's bottom
EXECRATION, they just find a better trade. Palos, you don't want to show on the map like that when everyone else is ganking some hero from EXECRATION.
Yeah, it's a worthwhile trade for EXECRATION in the end. I mean, they only lose their off lane. They had to commit so many spells on Neon's side. Now, because they use Doom, they're not going to be able to look for rotation. They're not going to be able to really play aggressive unless Mamangai is willing to put his body forward. That kill does give him the gold needed to kind of fully finish up his Maelstrom, does look like. So there is a little bit more damage on the Ember. And they could play around that tempo now with the lightning damage coming through. But I still don't think it matches up to how durable the side of EXECRATION is, how much sustain they have with the Undying up front. It's just still a bit too much for one hero to handle.
They're up to the Undying now, but Kimizu just going to rush in onto a bang, but he's got the song out.
A tithe to the
Disengage. Fine to do so, as you just haven't got the catch right now on EXECRATION. Pick off that Naga again. So they hold that dire triangle among Daya. We're gonna go after Bob. Get the chains off, but Bob's got plenty of help around. Problem is, among Daya, the damage output. Not enough though. Vincenzo with the soul rip just in the nick of time to save his Leshrac.
Good.
Bob, he will get up just by a hair.
And I just said it right? Like, there's
Dire's
so much
bottom tower is
riding on
under
Mamangai to get the aggression, but he just doesn't have enough to get that done. There's a lot of sustain,
Dire's bottom
a lot of
tower is
damage coming
fallen.
through from EXECRATION. He needs backup. And for that backup, he needs to play with Enryu, really. So I think they have to reel it in on Neon's side, play this much more defensive game. They're doing a good job of still buying space out for Palos, but they can't sacrifice the Ember. It's got to be the supports running around. I think when you see Abeng committing the Song to escape, that's fine. It's wasting time for EXECRATION. It needs to be Abeng and, to a certain extent, Narman kind of putting their bodies forward to stall out for these 3 cores to equally build up here on Neon's end.
5k net worth advantage here as EXECRATION. Just buying even more time for Nando. Palos doing his best to just try and keep up. Nando is well and truly starting to pull ahead now, working on towards that Aghanim Scepter.
Dire's
The team
top
might
tower
become
is
that
about to
much
be
more
Radiant's
difficult when
top
you've got that
rubble.
Ags up on your Medusa, as they do smoke up as 5. Hell, even a blink up now on their Snapfire. Zenryu, a bang, they do break the smoke. Kimizu's in. Who do they want to focus though? If Stampede is available, but they're going to settle for a bang instead. They won't bother trying in the mid lane though. They did find Nando on that Medusa, but it's only Mamangtaya. Very split kind of team fight here. From OB.NEON, just trying to see if they can find Nando, but he proves to be a little bit too tanky to do so. And now Mamangtaya get caught. There is the stuns out, and he does go down again. The EXECRATION able to find the lockdown. And they're looking to move into that mid tier 2.
Yeah, they've got an easy angle to push. Again,
Radiant's
Kimizu can just tank up
bottom tower is
front.
under attack.
Very durable center right now. Bob can come through with the Feedback as well. They're trying to find an angle onto
Dire's
Vincenzo,
middle
but
tower looks to be
that's just your support
disintegrating.
Undying. He's not going to mind too
Radiant's
much being
bottom
focused this
tower
hard.
needs a hand.
That's a lot of space out. Neon, I don't know what the angle is for the play here. They've got the Song ready in Abeng. I
Enryu.
think they've... Oh.
Yeah, he almost goes down in this Doom. Barely able to get away from Bob. I do agree, John. It's kind of hard to find an angle right now for OB.NEON. I suppose we could have said the same thing last game around as well. Multiple times, in fact. But they found it. Just feels like one of those games where you're very reliant on those Dooms to come out. Even the double Dooms with the Soul Bind. And well, naturally, Palos, he needs some space. He needs the time to catch up, and no, even then, the Luna vs Medusa matchup isn't exactly Luna favored.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one scaling into the late game. Like, Medusa has a lot of utility coming through. We're seeing Nando actually rush for the eggs here, Mike. So the stone form is going to be there. It's going to make it a lot easier to focus in on Luna until a BKB's up. Or Paulus, he does have it running. So there's some counterplay potential, but then you still have to deal with the stone gaze in the end. So can still be a bit of an awkward back and forth. Neon, they're going to go for the smoke up. They've got the BKB and Enryu. I think they're a little bit more confident in finding an angle and jumping in. Just BKB Doom, focus on clean up and retreat. Rinse and repeat around that tempo. If Neon can just kind of pull off this hit and run stall and stall out the aggression of Execration, we might hit that point where Paulus can really start to flex the damage of that Luna and maybe even start to get some more EXP and gold flowing out to the supports. Like, Obing's got a lot of utility into the late game if he does manage to reach that point where he does get the farm up.
Mizu. Spotted here by Big, but he'll be the first one to jump in. Doom is out onto the Centaur. You've got help around. Soulbind committed, but the Mortimer's kisses to fly in. Back in onto Enryu, but they're still trying for that Centaur. In the meantime, though, Bob, he does kill off Narman, and they can't actually kill off Kamizu. The Soul Whip is more than enough to keep him alive as a Bang. He has forced the song up just so they can retreat.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
What do you think about that, John? I mean, do you doom the Centaur?
A lucky find.
Is that the target?
No, I
Dire's
mean,
bottom tower
it's a
is
target.
under attack.
It's a forced fight from Neon.
Dire
It's like
structures
they were
are
smoked up, they were
fortified.
under pressure to make a play. They didn't find anyone else, so they just jumped the Centaur, hoping he's
Radiant's
alone.
top
They
tower
don't
ain't
have the
looking
info to
too
really make that
steady.
work. Like, they've got a couple of wards watching Riverside, but it's still not enough. I think just trying to find what they can.
A
He's
dominating
been caught out again with the
performance.
hoop stomp, and he's gone. Vincenzo able to take the kill for himself, and it's been a very rough time for Momongdai on this Ember. It's Execration now looking to move into that
Dire's
mid-tier 2
middle tower is
tower.
under attack.
It's going to be easy pickings with Bob around. Hell, they might even try for a
Dire's middle
third.
tower is fallen.
Carlo is in after Narman. We'll let him go as he does not connect the cookie. And again, tier
Dire's
3
bottom
is still
tower.
open here for Bob.
Don't look
And Nando
good.
to get started on. And that's exactly what they'll do.
Radiant's top tower is about to
Yeah,
topple.
they can just push in. Good
Dire's
use of
middle
Tombstone
tower
to
must
zone
be
out. Nando,
disintegrating.
he's got the ads, Mike. Snake's gonna be bouncing around, forcing out Stone
Radiant's
Form.
top tower is
It makes
under
it super
attack.
hard to defend. Doom is still down for 50 seconds. They're gonna be satisfied with the tier 3 here for Execration. They back off. And they play it
Radiant's
safe.
top
They've got
tower's
this
under attack.
not really massive lead. 6k up for Execration isn't the biggest, but it's enough to put OB.NEON in a bind. Paulus is still trying to farm up. Enryu is still kind of not in a good
Dire's
spot for a
bottom
Doom,
tower
right?
is
Like,
under
normally
attack.
with the Doom, you've got this huge net worth lead with a Midas Devour. Right now, he's behind even Bob. I think your big issue is that Momongdai is forced
Dire's
to
bottom
really be
tower
up
is
in
under
front.
attack.
And he has no protection, so he just dies instantly, and he's not scaling up on the Ember to build the momentum for Neon. Still, they are going for a 5-man smoke.
Dire's
Again, they don't
bottom
have the
tower
most
is under
aggressive
attack.
wards to spot anyone out, but they circle onto Bob at the right time. This could be big.
Mike's getting as well, Bob. He clearly avoids, but no, the chains around. Momongdai are going for the tree line. They do stampede. They're trying to catch up and make sure Bob does survive somehow, but they can't help him. They did at least find a Bang. The backside is now Kamizu looking to move back in, but Enryu, he gets a double doom on. This could be the team fight that OB.NEON were looking for. They at least find Vincenzo, but they can't do with Nando quite yet. They've got him back at least for now, but Carlo will go back in after Enryu, but he will drop the Palos. So all things being said and done, not too bad of a team fight as Kamizu now still being chased down by Momongdai. They might have another, but no, the gaze is
Double
there
kill.
with the Aghanim Scepter. Gets petrified. They do find the Ember once again. Somehow Kamizu does survive.
Yeah, it's a bit on edge for Execration, but in the end, it kind of works out. Sure, Neon does find some good kills. They kill off Bob and still get heavily punished. I think the silver lining for Neon is that they don't lose Palos at least, so he does get to kind of catch up. He's within 3k of Medusa here, Mike, not too far off, and should be able to maybe hit a couple more item beats. But I I still feel like sacrificing the Ember in particular is just not ideal. Mamangdai is still so far away from his BKB, and because Doom is down once more, Roche has opened up here for Execration. They just go in. They've got the damage with Nando. There is maybe a song play here for Abing if they spot it out, but they don't have the wards. There's a lot of sentries around from Execration to ensure no interference comes in from Neon for this Roche shot.
Yeah. And even if you wanted to try and interfere here, John, I don't think they can really take on Execration. Not when they're 5. That'll be Roshan. Go the way of Nando now. And Nando, of course, I mean, you kind of just want to finish off that Eye of Skadi before you go too much further. It's pretty close to it anyway, though. Just about 1k off. Once the Skadi's there, you might try to force a high ground attempt once again here from the Radiant. In the meantime, though, OB.NEON, they've got to find some pickoffs. Try and slow down the incoming high ground attempt. At least for now, Execration seem to want to try for that tier 2 top tower. They will go back to the outpost as well. But the time for tier 2's down. I have Skadi pretty much up for Nando, just a few hundred gold away.
A tower no more.
And OB.NEON, they're the ones that need to find a way to defend this high ground.
I think Mamangdai is doing the right thing, just creep cutting on mid to prevent any sort of progression on the open lane. And that does kind of stall out for a bit. It's all about buying time.
Radiant's bottom tower needs a hand.
Gun, keep playing tag, wait for an opportunity to present itself with double Doom, as we've seen Neon can actually fight in that way, and hope that they have enough on pulse to get running here. The Crystallis is up and running on our Luna, so there's a little bit more right-click damage coming through here for Palos. Still not much damage compared to the output of our Dusa at this moment, but a little bit more to play with. I think that's always good news for Neon to have some progression elsewhere. And for the side of Execration, they don't really mind us too much. And they've still got all the map under their control. They've still got the Aegis running for 3 minutes and a half here. Nando, with a Skadi up, has so much stats. It's gonna be hard to burst through unless they actually commit the Doom onto the Dusa somehow. Nando's positioning has been excellent in the past few fights, Mike. He stands way far behind. He allows the rest of the team to kind of comp all the spells. Comes in and cleans up afterwards.
So Bing now, going to be spotted out by Nando. Realizes that is not an illusion. Chasing to the tree line. In the meantime, though, Henry or Narman have a warding mission for them, but Bob is going to try and cut them off along with Carlo, and it looks like they do at least find out the Grimstroke. Good Earth is there, so no Soulbind to come out from Narman. And Henry, he could not throw the Doom out. In fact, now they found Mamangdai again, but he is going to be able to remnant this time. Force a buyback from this Grimstroke. So Dalmor gets to work. It does seem like Narman does not intend on buying back, but that might mean a second lane of barracks if you're not too careful.
Tower is under attack.
I think it will. Like, you just clear out so fast inside of Execration with Bob and Nando. They really need the double Doom to find the angle, and they forced out the BKB use of Enryu early on, so it's not like you can just easily blink in and even just jump on top of Nando to take care of the Aegis and force it back off. They will play it safe on Execration, Sendo. You know, they're not really in a rush. They've got the lead here. They've got one lane that's going to constantly shove in. Daedalus Fernando is almost done, Mike, so even more right-click damage coming through with an amplification from the Petrify on the Ags, on the Stone Gaze. It's going to be hard to deal with Nando. I'm keen to see how Neon prioritizes that double Doom. I think so far it has basically just been look for an opening, get the Soulbind, get the Doom, be happy with the kills, and then back off. But for the high ground defense, I think they might have to, it might have to be a little bit more targeted. Ideally, Nando is one of the two that gets doomed up. If not Nando, then Bob. If you can get that situation for yourself for Neon, the defense becomes a lot easier to execute on their side.
Palos just desperately trying to farm up on this Luna to try and give them a chance. Nando working towards his own Daedalus as well now, Dusa. Carries, just trying to get that last bit of damage output. We've seen OB.NEON, they have been constantly split pushing lanes out, just making it very hard for EXECRATION to try and approach that high ground. Yeah, similar story this time around. Like maybe not, because Bob's found a double damage route. Nando will make his way over to bottle that up. Make life a lot easier for EXECRATION if they needed it. They don't. Might just commit to the bot lane push now.
Too steady.
So Aegis does expire. I wonder if EXECRATION want to be conservative about it. It feels like there's no reason to be, but at the same time, if you lose a high ground team fight, after that game one, they might be a little bit afraid of what could happen.
I think there's always potential to bounce back in. Neon, they are looking for the smoke play. They timed this with the Aegis expiry, so they know if they do get the Doom on the Medusa, that's going to be a nice, juicy kill. Let's see if they do manage to find that out. They've got a good ward spotting out that location. They do manage to drop the sentry obs. Can take care of it, but Nando is just on full retreat. Neon in a good position to pincer here, Mike. Again, if they kill the Medusa, that could stall the game out.
Oh, Nando, they're going to spot him out, but the stun is not there. Still to make the jump in. Lotus Orb about to wear out, and there's the Doom out with the Soul Bind. Maybe they can win this team fight out. Enryu, though, he's muted himself, but it may not matter. Vincenzo, he's got a Nando. He does drop now. Kimitsu still trying. Look on to Palos. Palos, he does finally drop the bomb as Mamang Daya. He's been summed up, but he does finish off Kimitsu, trying to find his own exit, and he does make it. But Bob, Yule Scepter up, is able to continue this fight. Sans was not there in time, and they've got Mamang Daya down. Narman, the only survivor, and he will make it. But it's going to be a 3-for-4 trade in the favor of EXECRATION. But I think for OB.NEON, it's a glimmer of hope to make a comeback in this game. Just the fact that they could actually get Nando down.
I mean, they're seeing that they can handle that Medusa, which is big. Right, so they've got some hope for the high ground hold. You just need to kind of play around with the tempo of Doom now. Right, so whenever Doom's up, that's your opportunity to go out and get a nice kill on Medusa, keep stalling the game out. They're also trying to build into the Aghanims here for Narman, Mike. So the Dark Portrait illusion coming through to use the Medusa against EXECRATION could also be one of the factors to keep this game in the books for Neon to stay inside. And I think they're kind of lined up to hit those item spikes fairly soon. For the side of EXECRATION, they can't really do much with just Bob, so they can't make much more progression on the map. They can't really gun for Roshan, although it's still a few seconds away from when you find it. Carlo being really aggressive here on Aben.
Is Carlo just very, very confident on the Snapfire. Okay. And all they're looking to do is buy more and more time for Palos. EXECRATION, their next objective, of course, is going to be that secondary Roshan. We'll find it in about 15 seconds when that is spawning up, but before that, EXECRATION, they'll 5-man smoke again. They run into first. Stampede is there. They found Palos, but the BKB is there in time, and now the song is committed. A Peng, he puts the hand up and TP's out. You love to see it. Just waves goodbye.
The defensive play for Neon. Zach, good call. You sacrifice Song to take away the effect of Stampede. You get a reset. You get a buy time for Palos to keep playing this farm game. It's the stall mechanism, again, for Neon. Even though they're not quite gaining network back their way, they're still 12k behind here. They are lining up the item spikes. Daedalus for Palos lined up. Still kind of lacking the recipe gold, but glimmers of hope are coming through. Narman again. Ags is going to be done when his courier respawns, so Dark Portrait will be there in about half a minute. And that could be big. I think the illusion's been heavily nerfed in the past few patches. It's been a lot easier to kill off, but you still can't underestimate it. If the micro is there from Narman, the damage output of using Nando against his own team might, again, just give them another tool to approach the fight, to kind of take them out. And they're going to smoke out here. Maybe a bit of a risk, but they've got Doom up and running, Mike.
They do. Get that soul bind on a good target. Be all OB.NEON needs, but EXECRATION, they are still 12k ahead. You've got to find Nando with that Doom. Otherwise, he is probably just going to shred your team. Among Dyer. Show himself to Bob. See about it though. Both teams just feeling very nervous right now for this next team fight. Roshan's still 50 seconds away, so you haven't really got that to play for yet. And of course, in the meantime, John, Narman does have the Aghanim Scepter you brought up earlier. So we'll see how much that Dark Fortress does do. He does have himself a Medusa solution right now. Maybe, I'm sure, very annoying. He does get the Ice Cardi slow as well. It'll be very, very fun for Execration to try and deal with. Still, they'll hold the high ground. Neither team really committing quite yet. But once that Roshan does spawn up, Execration, they do have first
Radiant's
hits.
middle
It'll
tower
be
is under
OB.NEON,
attack.
they need to find a way into the Roshan to try and counter.
They've still got certain tools there. Song's gonna be up in about 10 seconds, and Soulbind Doom is still ready to go. Roshan will respawn as soon as you and Vincenzo does spot it, and that
Radiant's
should be
middle
the go ahead
tower
now
is
for
under attack.
Execration.
Dire's
Neon
top tower is
need
under
to run
attack.
fast. They're sending out the Naga Illusions to scout out, but they're not in position just yet to run up towards Roshan. But at least they have the info. We'll see if they'll make it in time, or if it's even something they feel like they can contest.
Radiant are
That is
scanning
Roche
for
number 2
enemies.
with a free ag chart, and they will smoke. So just got to find the angle here, OB.NEON.
I mean, there's smoke, John. I'm not sure if they're going to make it in time, though. Remnant's forward, but Mamangdaya, he's there. Roshan's down. Inkswat connects, but the Petrify is out again. And Mamangdaya, he cannot pick up the Aegis in time. Oh, so close yet so far. Still, the team fight will break out. They'll continue trying. But it seems like OB.NEON not feeling confident without that Aegis. Oh, maybe they do a bang. That's a great Meteor Hammer song setup. It will land onto 2. Now Henry is there. Where's its Soulbind? It's out, but the Doom is already committed. They did find the Medusa. That will mean Nando should drop. That'll only be the first life. As Bob now, he'll go on to Narman, trying to get that grip stroke down. He's almost got him. In fact, he does now. It's Palos. He'll be the second to drop. Mamangdaya, he's the only one left to try and fight, but he is completely out of mana. In Execration, that might just be GG. There's 4 heroes down without buyback.
Yeah, respawns aren't too long, except for Palos and maybe Mamangdaya. But I don't know if they can actually do anything. Tier 4 rush is the play here for Execration. And Neon, very ballsy move for Mamangdaya coming in. It looked like he had the angle for the rush. He managed to get the BKB. Petrify was a bit too strong. They were held back. At least there is a Fortify to stall out.
Dire's middle
And
tower looks to
Abeng
be
is ready to
disintegrating.
go, but he can't really do much by himself. Looks like he'll just go for the creep wave. But there's no other lane shoved in, so if he does
Dire's
manage to
middle
clear
tower
out
is
the
falling.
mass creep wave, nah. Bit of a stall
Dire's
there.
middle tower
Yeah,
is under attack.
Execration,
Dire's middle tower is
they
falling.
draw out the series, Mike. We're going to game 3.
Now we are, Jonathan. Great news. We've gotten somewhere now. It's going to be at least a 2-1 today between these two teams. And I'll tell you what, I mean, Execration, they made that one look real clean. Felt like that game was over 10 minutes in, quite frankly, as OB.NEON just had no answers for the aggression of Execration. But I'm happy to say we do find